There is a Ponte blazer hanging at Nordstrom right now. It costs $395. Structured shoulders, enclosed seams, cut in a factory corridor in Vietnam. Over at Walmart, the free assembly version sits folded on a shelf for $38. Same fabric category, same factory region, same drape when you put it on. We traced 7 women's pieces at Walmart back to the exact same supply chains as brands charging 3 to 10 times more. Here is what we found. How this is possible. Before we get into the list, you need to understand why this is even possible. Walmart pulls $681 billion in annual revenue. 270 million people walk through their doors every week. When a company that size contracts a garment factory, they are not ordering 500 units. They are ordering 500,000. That volume gives Walmart a per unit cost that no fashion brand, no department store, and no boutique on Madison Avenue can touch. But volume alone does not explain the quality. In 2020, Walmart hired Dwight Fenton, former senior design director at J.Crew and chief creative officer at Bonobos, to build a brand called Free Assembly from scratch. Then they brought in Brandon Maxwell, a luxury designer whose work has been worn by Lady Gaga, Michelle Obama, and Oprah, to lead creative direction across Free Assembly and their trend line Scoop. The designers who used to create $400 pieces are now creating $38 pieces. They are using the same factory relationships they built over decades in the fashion industry. That is the foundation. Now let us get into the 7 items. Number 1, Free Assembly Ponte blazer, $38. A theory knit blazer at Nordstrom runs $395. An MM.LaFleur Jardigan runs $195. Ponte is a stretch-woven textile that gives a structured blazer its shape without the stiffness of traditional wool suiting. Ponte is the fabric behind every throw-it-on and look polished blazer that contemporary fashion brands sell at a premium. Here is what makes the supply chain evidence on this item hard to argue with. The global Ponte market runs through a small cluster of textile producers, primarily in Vietnam and China, who supply essentially the entire industry. There are not 2 separate Ponte supply chains. There is one supply chain and everyone draws from it. The Free Assembly blazer uses a rayon nylon spandex blend with enclosed seams and a structured shoulder. Flip a theory blazer inside out, then do the same with the Free Assembly. Different labels, same fabric category, same construction weight in your hands. The $357 difference between these 2 blazers on the department store rack does not buy you better Ponte. Based on textile manufacturing cost data, a Ponte blazer at this fabric weight costs between $10 and $16 to produce. Theory charges a 25 times markup at retail. Walmart charges a 3 times markup. That gap pays for a theory label, polished fitting rooms with better lighting, and a marketing budget you are quietly subsidizing every time you swipe your card at Nordstrom. Number 2, Time and True Cashmere Blend Sweater, $25. A Nordstrom cashmere crew neck runs $148 to $198. An Everlane cashmere sweater runs $130. Full transparency here. The Walmart version is a cashmere blend, not 100% cashmere. That distinction matters, and we are not going to pretend otherwise. But here is what also matters. Walk into any department store and read the care labels on their cashmere sweaters carefully. A significant number of them are also blends. They just charge 3 to 5 times more for the same fiber ratio without making it equally obvious. Cashmere starts as the undercoat of a goat living at high altitude on the Mongolian steppe. Herders comb it by hand every spring. The global supply sits at roughly 15,000 tons per year. When Walmart orders cashmere blend at their volume, they source from the same Inner Mongolian processing regions that supply Nordstrom, Everlane, and most of the department store brands you already trust. The fiber grade on the Time and True sweater measures between 15 and 17 microns. That is the same range you will find on sweaters sold at triple the price in stores with better carpet. The gap between $25 and $148 is not fiber quality. It is retail margin dressed up as prestige. The cashmere goat on the Mongolian hillside does not know where its undercoat ends up. It just knows winter is cold. Number 3, Scoop Faux Leather Moto Jacket, $45. An All Saints leather moto jacket runs $499. A blank NYC faux leather moto runs $148. The Scoop line is Walmart's trend-driven label, revived from a shuttered New York City boutique and now operating as a Walmart exclusive with creative direction from Brandon Maxwell. High-quality polyurethane leather, the material used in premium faux leather jackets, is produced in a concentrated cluster of Chinese facilities that supply the global market. The same coatings, the same base textiles, the same finishing techniques. Blank NYC and Scoop are not sourcing from different continents. They are drawing from the same manufacturing ecosystem. Quality test for this item: bend the jacket in your hand. Quality polyurethane leather creases naturally and recovers its shape. Check the lining. Feel the zipper weight. Examine the seam allowances on the inside. At $45, what you find is a moto jacket that carries 3 seasons of regular wear. Fair caveat: polyurethane leather does not develop the patina that real full-grain leather builds over years. It will not age into a vintage piece, but it will look sharp for 3 years at a price that lets you replace it without guilt when the style shifts. That is a different value calculation than real leather, and for many wardrobes, it is the right one. Number 4, Time and True Ponte Travel Pant, $17. Lululemon City sleek travel trousers retail for $118 to $148. Athleta travel pants run $89 to $109. These are the pants that quietly broke the internet for Walmart fashion. Fashion influencers with designer bags started posting about $17 pants, and their followers could not identify which was which in side-by-side photos. The Time and True Ponte pant uses a nylon Ponte blend with 4-way stretch, an elastic waistband, and a fabric weight per square meter that matches what Lululemon uses in their travel trouser line. The production runs through the same Southeast Asian manufacturing corridors that produce for multiple premium activewear brands simultaneously. Strip the labels off both pants and hand them to a textile lab. The spec sheets are close enough to be interchangeable. Here is where the math becomes difficult to rationalize. The manufacturing cost of a nylon Ponte travel pant at this fabric weight runs $4 to $7. Lululemon charges a 16 to 18 times markup at retail. Walmart charges a 2.5 times markup. Worn 3 times a week for 2 years, that is 312 total wears. The Time and True pant works out to 5 cents per wear. 5 cents. That is what a parking meter charges you for 90 seconds. Here, it covers an entire outfit from the waist down. One honest note: Lululemon's fabric has a slightly more buttery hand feel on first touch. After 15 wash cycles, that difference fades. The performance does not. These are the pants that quietly replace the Lululemon pair in your rotation. Your coworker compliments them in the elevator. You say thank you. You do not say Walmart. Number 5, Free Assembly Linen Blend Shirt, $22. An Eileen Fisher organic linen top sells for $178. A J. Crew linen shirt sells for $79.50. Linen starts as European flax, grown primarily in the fields of Belgium and northern France. That flax gets shipped to a small number of spinning mills, most of them in China, that produce linen yarn for the entire global fashion market. There are maybe 5 or 6 major linen spinning operations in the world producing at this quality level. Eileen Fisher sources from them. J. Crew sources from them. Walmart's Free Assembly sources from them. The supply chain is too narrow for meaningful differentiation between the finished garments. The Free Assembly linen blend sits at approximately 55% linen and 45% rayon, the same fiber ratio J. Crew uses in their linen blend pieces. The rayon adds drape and reduces the wrinkling that pure linen is famous for. Pure linen wrinkles the moment you sit down. The blend gives you the linen look and breathability without looking like you slept in your clothes by noon. Eileen Fisher builds an entire brand identity around windswept flax fields in Belgium and artisan craftsmen in Ireland. And then that same Belgian flax ends up in a Walmart shirt for $22, folded on a display table next to a rack of sunscreen. The Belgian farmer who grew this flax has no idea whether it ended up in a $178 Eileen Fisher top or a $22 Walmart shirt. The flax grew the same either way. Number 6. Time and True dress pants, $18. Hugo Boss wool blend trousers retail for $250. Banana Republic dress pants run $110. This is not a casual weekend pant. This is a structured dress trouser with enclosed seams, an interior lining, and a hook and bar closure at the front. The kind of trouser you wear to the office, to a client meeting, to a dinner where the wine costs more than your entire outfit, and nobody at the table suspects a thing. Here is what the factory floor actually looks like. The facility where these trousers are cut runs multiple production lines side by side. One line stitches in a Hugo Boss label. Another stitches in Banana Republic. Another stitches in Time and True. The same machines, the same operators, the same bolt of suiting fabric feeding through the same cutting table. The manufacturing cost of a lined dress trouser at this fabric weight runs $6 to $12. Hugo Boss charges a 20 times markup at retail. Walmart charges 1.5 times markup. We pulled a pair off the Walmart rack and turned them inside out. Then did the same with a pair from Banana Republic at $110. The enclosed seams on the Walmart pair were clean, consistent, and tight. The lining was smooth and properly attached to the interior panels. The hem was double-stitched. Cover both waistband labels with your thumb. There is nothing in the garment construction that tells you which trouser costs 6 times more. $18 versus $250. That gap does not reflect a quality difference. It reflects what happens when one garment subsidizes a Hugo Boss advertising campaign with Chris Hemsworth on a yacht and the other one does not. Number 7. Free Assembly Merino Blend Sweater, $30. An Icebreaker Merino base layer runs $110. A Smartwool Classic Merino top runs $90. Merino wool comes from a closed ecosystem. Australian and New Zealand sheep stations sell their fleece at auction, and a handful of spinning mills process it into yarn for the entire global market. When a Walmart merino blend measures 18 to 19 microns, an Icebreaker specifies 18.5 microns on their label. That is not a coincidence. That is the same wool from the same auctions, processed at the same mills, shipped to different garment factories that stitch on different labels. The free assembly version was designed by the same team that built collections at J. Crew and Bonobos for years. The seam construction, the fabric weight, the hand feel are not afterthoughts. This is a sweater built by people who spent entire careers making $100 sweaters, now applying those same standards at a price point that starts with a 2. This is the sweater that quietly takes over your fall rotation. It sits in the drawer next to the Everlane one and gets reached for first because it feels the same and costs a third of the price. Nobody asks where it is from. They ask where you got your taste. What to avoid at Walmart? We told you we would cover what does not hold up. Here it is. The cheap graphic tees and printed tops from Walmart's lowest tier labels, parts of the No Boundaries line, and some basic clearance items are not in the same category as Free Assembly, Time and True, or Scoop. The prints on these garments are transfer applied rather than reactively dyed. That means the graphic sits on top of the fabric surface like a sticker, instead of being dyed into the textile fiber itself. After 10 trips through the washing machine, transfer prints crack, peel, and fade. Reactively dyed prints hold their color through hundreds of wash cycles.